Welcome to your Get That Nugget for GCSE English Language. Today we'll be concentrating on giving you a framework to answer Paper 2, Question 3, the language question. This session is to complement your lessons with your teachers and not to replace them in any way. I'm just going to begin by looking at the aims of this question, and if you remember and watch the nugget for Paper 1, Question 2, they are the same aims. This again is a language analysis question. So we are looking at explaining the effects of the writer's choice of language, so any words or phrases, methods they have used to create an effect on us as the reader. And then we should be able to enhance our answer by identifying some subject terminology in our answer as well. As I mentioned, the nugget for Paper 1, Question 2 is very similar because it's the same process for this question. The only difference is obviously on Paper 2 you do get 2 sources, and this question is actually worth 12 marks, whereas Paper 1, Question 2 is only worth 8. For this question, because it is a 12-mark question, you are asked to look at an entire source. Sometimes they will give you line numbers, but it is a larger section of text than Paper 1, and in some papers they will give you the entire source as well. You're probably looking at about 12 to 15 minutes for this question, and as I said in the previous language analysis video, you are using a majority of that time to plan your answer, find the things you need from the text, and then using the last bit of that time to write your answer up. This is a really good question to make sure you've got a great skill in and practice, because 2 questions across 2 papers, super important skill, and then you're also going to use it for some of the other questions as well. Let's take a look at the question. So for the purposes of this nugget, we're going to carry on using the discovery paper that we've been using for question 1 and 2 nuggets. We only need, as I mentioned, 1 source for this, and for the purposes of this question, it is source B. Our first step is we need to be really clear about what our question focus is. We already know that question 3 is a language question, so we know what skill we need to use. But what we don't know yet is the focus, and the focus will change from paper to paper. For this question, our focus is how the conveyor's excitement at his discovery. So we need to find anything within that source that shows his excitement at his discovery. Now we know where we're looking, now we know what we're looking for, you need to take the extract and start to look for anything that you could possibly use for this question. I'm obviously not going to read all of it because that will take too much time up, but I'm going to show you the process that I go through to answer this question. So anything that shows excitement, remember, that's our key phrase. Feverishly, we cleared away the remaining last scraps of rubbish on the floor. Then we've got perhaps another descending staircase or maybe a chamber. Now, because I've started highlighting, what I should do is I should start labelling, because by the time we get down to the end of the extract, I might have forgotten why I've highlighted this, and then I waste precious time by rereading it. So feverishly, I know is an adverb, and it shows excitement. It shows that he's really happy about it. Down here, we've got 2 rhetorical questions. Now, it's great that I can name what technique it is, but I also, as I've mentioned before, it's really important that I get the effects of that. If you're not quite sure what technique has been used, but you know that it's got a good effect, then that's really important. Make sure you get the effect down in your notes. So I've got rhetorical questions, and the effect of rhetorical questions usually show excitement, but I don't want to keep repeating myself. I don't want to keep repeating the question. So I need to think about how else I could possibly word that. Maybe that he is really joyful. Maybe he's looking forward to something, or whatever else he sees. But that process is important. Make sure you're not just highlighting. We're not trying to just colour the sheet in. We're trying to label what has been used, because this is what's going to make the construct of our answer later. We'll just do another 1 or 2. So we've got ideas like strange and wonderful medley of extraordinary and beautiful objects. Here we've got lots of adjectives. which again shows excitement, but again, we don't want to keep repeating ourselves. So the idea that he's using these adjectives, let's think about what those adjectives actually suggest. That show that he's in awe. It shows that he likes them. Shows that he's pleased. We'll do one more. Let's do down here. So we've got quite ordinary looking, finely carved chairs, golden inlaid throne, black shrines, gilded monster snake. So down here we've got a list. So a list is another good one because it shows excitement. Again, though, we don't want to repeat ourselves. We don't want to keep repeating the same word. If he's listing things, it shows that he's really eager and proud of what he's seen. If we keep using the same word, excited or excitement, an examiner doesn't really like that, so we do need to try and kind of come away from that word. We're still answering the question, and it's important that we still answer the question, but we do need to think outside of that one word. So, as I said, I'm not going to read the entire thing, but there's enough there for us to go on with the process. So first thing, make sure we understand the question. Second thing is we read through the text, and I can't stress how important that is. I know lots of students who don't really like to read the text again, but you are going to need to. This is a reading paper, so that's what you're being tested on. Read line by line. Don't try and skim read. This is important that you pick out the best things for you to write about. So step 1, answer the question. Step 2, as you're reading, you're going to highlight anything that links to that question. And you're going to make little notes next to your highlighting so that you can come back to it when you write your answer later. If you had taken the time to do the whole text, and if we had time, I would have done more than what we've done here because we did skim it, you're probably going to end up with lots and lots to write about. Now, obviously, you don't have that time in an exam to write about 8 or 10 things. You're never going to have time to do that. So very similar to paper 1, question 2 nugget. What you do after you've annotated as much as you can, you need to go back and you need to find your golden 4. Okay, your golden 4, you're going to find 4 ideas that you can write about for this question. Pick the ones that you have the most to talk about with the effects. As I mentioned before, it might be that you find a quote and you think, wow, that's really good. I can really talk about the effects. I can really see excitement there. I know the effects on the reader. I know which words I'm going to pick out. However, you might not know that adjectives have been used, for example. That's okay. That's fine. Still write about it. There's no point you being able to pick something out and labeling it, but not actually talking about the effects. You're going to lose marks. You're not going to gain as many marks as you possibly could. Subject terminology just enhances our answer. So as long as you've got the effects and you've got your quotes and you're doing the process that we've looked at, you will get the marks. Obviously, ideally, you would know techniques, but we can work on that as we go through the year. Once you've got your golden 4, that's when you turn your notes into answers. And we'll go through that on the next nugget. Let's just recap the 3 things, the 3 steps that we need to go through. First step, read the question and highlight the keywords. That will help you find your examples within the text and focus you on what you're looking for. Second step, read through the text. As you're reading, you're going to highlight and then you're going to annotate. Really important to annotate the effects as well. Final step of prep. Pick your golden 4. It could be that actually you'd like to pick just your golden 3 and keep it the same skill as paper 1, question 2, and that's fine. You can build up to more than 3, but 3 is a minimum, and I would recommend 4 and go with that one because it is 12 marks, remember, and you want to get as many marks as possible. Once you've done that, you can then turn it into an answer, which we will look at in the next nugget. I'm going to leave you with a question. Again, this question is available for you to download and practice. And I would take about 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes, just to get you used to the skill. Go through and annotate the text. Remember the process. Step 1, read the question. Find the focus and the keywords of that question. Step 2, read the text. Highlight and annotate. And then step 3, find your golden 3 or your golden 4 that you are going to write about. If you give that prep work to your teacher, I'm sure they'd be really happy to give you some feedback on that.